Hey y'all, it's Kadisha. I'm back with another video and I'm back in the car, as you can see. um, yes, today I wanted to talk about trusting God in the midst of circumstances that are necessary. Oh, okay, I couldn't see that. like, um, in the midst of a circumstance where it's like, hold on, what am I doing? I don't know if I've talked about this before, but I have a friend and she said this before. She's like, it's one thing for us to say we trust God, and until we have a situation where we really have to trust God, and then we're like, oh, maybe I didn't trust God before. I think I might have talked about this before. But yes, and so I just wanted to kind of come on here and encourage whoever's in a season where they may feel like, I am trusting you, Lord, but this is hard. It is, I realized that when I was saying I was trusting you, I really didn't. So just kind of go back a little bit. I think I've talked about this before, but hey, forgive me if I've talked about it. Um, 2020, everybody's life was shifted back then. And so I was working for this company. It was actually right before the pandemic. And it was the company I've been working for 5 years. They decided to, well, they actually got sold, and the new company that was buying them out was not interested in the company that we had. So we're basically, once we were sold, we were not a part of anything anymore. So yeah, and that happened right before the pandemic, and I was able to actually get a job with someone else. And so I started working with a different company, but I was still in the same building. And so it was just like, okay, I'm still here, but I really feel like the Lord was just like, this is not where I want you. I want you somewhere else. And oftentimes we don't think that. We get so comfortable in a place when the Lord is trying to get you to move, we won't move. And so I was like, okay. I started working at this place, and I worked there. I probably worked there for, after what, 7 months, which is still a long time, because I think it was October when I stopped working there. And or it could have been 6 months, could have been September, but I think it was October. And they were just doing a whole bunch of stuff where they were like just making it extremely, not really uncomfortable, but difficult. And I'm just like, what in the world is going on? They were just making it so difficult. And I did not know what to do with that, because I'm always this type of person. So this, when they see me in the middle, this is what they see. I don't know if they ever got to see the different side. Hopefully they did not. But it was just not good. And I was like, okay. So I stopped working there, and I actually still had a client outside that I was working for the company, but it was at their home. And so I was still going to that. I was still going to them for however long, because I was like, all right, I have to get a job. I had savings, which that's why it's so important to save. But this is not the topic about that. Maybe we'll talk about that before. I'm not really good on that. I can send you to somebody to help you with that. But yeah, so that's not really my thing. But I was saving in the midst, in the meantime, or whatever. So yeah, and then started I stopped working there, and then I was just still working with my outside client, but it was probably like 2 hours. I don't know if it was 2 hours a day or 4 hours a day, but it was very little. But I still had money, and I was just like, I was applying for jobs. I really was trying to get into the hospital. I didn't really want to work in the hospital, but I was just like, that is going to be something very steady and probably not too bad in my case. That's what I was thinking. And of course, like I said, this is a pandemic, so you can probably get a job at the hospital, So I was not getting any callbacks or anything from that, and I'm just like, what am I going to do? And my boss called me, and she was like, I have this position, and I can't remember how long it was. It felt like 3 months, but it probably was not. It probably was like a couple weeks. But I'm just so used to working, so if I'm not working, I feel like, what am I doing? And so I was just she called me and she was like, yeah, I have this couple that I want you to work with, and I think it would be very good for, good for them. Needless to say that our other company was still going on, but I feel like the Lord just moved me from that particular one. And I was like, okay, I'll try it and see. And so when I went there the first day or the first week, I was like, I don't know if this is for me. I felt like I didn't know if it was for me. And then plus I felt like it was not enough work. And so I'm used to running around 8 hours a day, but now I'm in someone's home for those same 8 hours, and I only have to tend to, the two people there. And it's less chaotic, and it's so surprising that we can be in a situation, so even something that is bad for us, and we start to normalize it. And that's why it's so important to heal and to know what you need to get out of life. Don't settle, because we will start to normalize things that are not beneficial and don't need to be normalized. Like, no, that's not okay. But it may be seasons where you have to work harder than others, so I'm not saying that either. I'm not saying we should just not have hard work. So, decipher, have discernment on what is for you. And I was like, I don't know if this is for me. And then I just kept doing it anyway, because I'm like, well, this is bringing my income, so if I get a call at the hospital, maybe I'll go. And I started to just love it. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so good. And I was working for the company for a year, and this company closed. So you're talking about 2 companies closing in less than 2 years. And I'm just like, okay, all right. And I didn't have the option. I didn't have the option to actually stay with the person I was at the house I was with, but I was praying. I was like, Lord, is this what you want me to do? Because I can stay here. This is something I can do. But I really felt like the Lord was like, no. And I was just like, that don't make sense to me. And so usually if something don't make sense to me, I'm like, okay, this must be the Lord, because I operate out of my flesh a lot. So I have to be led by the Spirit and be trying to do what I feel like the Lord is saying to me in that season. And that's hard, especially when you're living in a world and you have bills, you have to pay the bills, or you're not going to have a place to stay. All those things factor in. So we have to quiet down our flesh in order to actually hear what the Lord is saying to you. Because my flesh was saying, yeah, you're going to stay at this job because you don't have another job lined up. So what are you going to do? And yeah, so I was like, okay, Lord, I'm trusting you, because I really don't know what I'm going to do in this sense. And on my last day working there at the house I was telling you about, I spoke with another individual who came in, and she was like, oh, I heard today's your last day. And I was like, it is. And she's like, well, I know someone who's wanting to, who's basically, needing a caregiver. I was like, what? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, so I'll, call him and see what's up. And see what's up. That's how I talk. Yeah, see what's up. Oops, sorry. Oh, okay. Re-angle. Okay. See, look at this. All right, hopefully this stay. And yeah, and I'm just like, okay, I'll try it and see. And so the Lord has allowed me to work with them. And it's truly trusting the Lord, because anything can happen, especially in the field that I'm in. And I guess it's in any field. You can get laid off. Things can happen. But in that point in time, I realized that the Lord is faithful, and that it's up to us to trust Him. If we really trust Him, we will obey Him, and we will do things that seems so weird in times where it's just like, okay, this option seems like reasonable versus this one does not seem so reasonable. And I even had family, because I was talking to my family about it, and they were like, well, you need to file for unemployment, you need to do all this. And I'm just like, no, I don't think I need to do that. And they're like, you gotta live. And it's just, when you hear that, you have that in your brain, it's like, yeah, I have to live, so I'm gonna have to file for unemployment. But the Lord gave me a peace, like, no, you don't have to file for unemployment. I'm going to provide for you everything that you need. And the rest is history. I don't know if I need a second video to this, but I just really wanted to encourage you to trust the Lord. And your story may not look like mine, because we all are going to have different seasons of life. We're going to go through different things. However, I want you to know that the Lord has you, and that if you're trusting him, he's going to provide the way for you. So yes, y'all, I hope this video encourages you. I hope you grab something from it, like I always say, and remember to be the change that you want to see in someone else. Until next time, bye.